Hi friends, Starry Hilder, and I'm really excited. I am excited because it is gardening season, and even though this is a transitional period of my life and I'm living in an apartment, I am going to show you the proof is in the pudding that you can homestead and have a sustainable life anywhere, including this apartment. I have been creating my own little niche here, my own little homestead, and I have a very small backyard, probably like many of you, and you know, it's an apartment. So what do you do? How do you grow food? How do you homestead? How do you create sustainability? Well, you came to the right place, because I'm going to have lots and lots of videos showcasing that, and with my health and wellness and eating and you name it. All right, we're going to shine. We're going to shine. But in this video, I'm grabbing the camera because I'm going to show you how I'm starting my gardening season right now. And one of the things I'm doing is getting out my Greenstalk containers. You know what? Greenstalk containers, I've said this before, I use them on the homestead, and I use them because they're vertical and we were running out of space. Well, now I brought them with me, and I get to use them in my own backyard here because I can't be digging up the yard, right? Can't be digging up the yard. There's grass here. But I can continue to garden with these containers. And the great thing is they're movable, they're stackable, they're self-watering, and I can grow anything in them. And in fact, I can grow an abundant amount of produce in them without having to have a lot of square footage on the ground or in the ground. So let's go over and I'll show you what I'm planting today. My Greenstalk containers actually are filled up with some of the garden soil from the homestead. Yes, I took some of the soil. Well, why not? It's half my soil too, right? But I did fill them up with the Back to Eden garden soil. Now, if you're wondering how to fill these things, you don't have to fill them up to the top. And in fact, I'm going to have to redistribute some of the soil that's in them right now. But you'll see the soil that I have in them is very, very heavily composted. Look at that. All right. And the more you dig down, the more you'll see the rich soil. But on the top, this is actually some of the Back to Eden composted wood chips. They're right there. And the great thing about these Greenstalk containers is you can actually implement the Back to Eden garden method. Yeah, you can actually fill these up with some garden soil and simply put on top your wood chips. Very, very easy, and they will break down just like they break down in a regular garden. Again, you know, Back to Eden method is a no-brainer. You just allow God to do all the work, right? You allow God, who is in charge of nature, to do all the work. And that's what I'm doing here in my Greenstalk. What I like to do with this container is, you see, I don't have them stacked right now. I am simply going to put my kale and my Swiss chard, and I'm excited because look I've got basil, I've got spinach, I've got curled dwarf blue curled vats, kale. What else did I get here? Oh, I got some chives. So what I simply will do is just keep them like this. Won't stack them right away because I want the sun to get at them, and because these are movable. This is the great thing. This planter is movable. You just take it apart. You can't move it all. You can't move the whole thing when it's upright, but each individual pot here is movable. So I will get them started with them not stacked up, and that's what works the best for me. The other thing is, all right, here's another point that I haven't talked about yet, because this is container gardening, right? And even though I have a Greenstalk and I'm using my Back to Eden garden soil, if you are using anything else besides a Greenstalk, number one, you're going to have to either make your own garden container soil, which you can do. There's a recipe for it. I think it's has some perlite in it. It's got some moss and a little bit of sand, and you mix up your own container gardening soil. And the reason being because it needs to be light and loomy and airy. Okay, you just can't take any old soil and put it in a container. Remember that. And number two, say you got containers from, you know, the lady down the street who's got a garden. Make sure if you're new to this that you wash those containers with 3 parts water and 1 part bleach. Okay, because you don't know what has been in those containers, and soil actually carries. It actually carries disease, and it can, and pests, and it can actually, when you're growing something new from that soil, you can get stuff like tomato blight and a lot of diseases that can affect your new plants. And besides, containers, as I said, need light, loomy, airy soil. And if you don't have the opportunity to make your own container soil, I don't know why you wouldn't. I'm going to do a video on it. If you just want to get started like now, go to Home Depot and just buy yourself a bag. And then you can get started. And you don't have to worry, right? There's no worry. Whatever you put in your container, you'll be able to grow. And you don't have to worry about it getting sick or diseased. All right, so what I'm going to do right now is just simply take I've got kale. I think predominantly I'm going to do my kale and my spinach in these back to Eden containers. I miss my back to Eden garden right now. But I'm going to do them in my Greenstalk containers. I'm going to just lightly sprinkle the seeds on top of the soil, and then I'm going to lightly cover it. I'm going to keep these in a partially shaded area because they're kale and spinach. And then once they start sprouting, and I'll share that with you, I'm going to start stacking. But I love these because they're self-watering, because once I get them stacked up, I won't have to worry about coming out here and, you know, watering. All right, my friends, I have everything that I need planted in my containers. And you see how easy it is? All you have to do is sprinkle your seeds in there, cover them up with a little bit of soil, put them in a partially shaded spot, because I'm doing kale and spinach. Here's the nursing part of me that wants to point you back to sustainable health on your homestead, wherever you're at. Kale and spinach. The reason why I'm growing kale, especially kale, is it is an anti-inflammatory, number one. Number two, it's very high in vitamin A, vitamin K, and C. It also has a lot of iron in it. It is just so healthy for you. You can put it in smoothies, you can put it in your salads, you can make kale chips. Remember, I make kale chips, I got a video on it. So that dark green is so healthy for you, and it's very important that we grow foods that will help sustain our health. I mean, most foods help sustain our health, right? But we can do this now in our own backyard no matter where we're at. So if you're going to choose something early on to grow that is going to help you feel better and sustain your health, kale and spinach are right up there right now, all right? Along with all the other greens, but kale and spinach, good stuff. All right, my friends, the next time you'll be seeing this, hopefully, we'll have some greens, and I'll be sharing recipes with you and how to use those greens in your diet to sustain your health. All right, God bless, friends, from my backyard apartment to wherever you're at today.